would like you to take a few minutes of your time to listen to a summary report that I have taken a lot of time to look at so that we can be able to analyze matters not necessarily from a social media perspective, but rather construct and constitute a reality that can be able to change, transform, equip, and develop us towards not only speaking at each other, but rather reasoning together. I pray that my words will be able to bring balance to the matters at hand that can be able to create a trajectory to our nation. So to those that politicize situations that do not require politics, they will be ashamed. At the turnout of events, as Kenyans will be more enlightened and enlightened. Remember, the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So one of the concepts that makes people to perish is when there is lack of knowledge, which is the same word for the word absence of knowledge. And therefore, this program is there to shed light and bring a better approach of knowledge and create so much presence around knowledge, because if there is knowledge and people are aware, then it becomes easy. And I want to repeat again to the government of the day, to our leaders both in opposition and in government, it is the amount of knowledge that you present that will make sure that there are no fights automatically. But if you leave a gap, people begin to fill in the spaces for themselves. And therefore, let us journey together in this broadcast. Let us begin with specific matters that have been, taking the nation hostage as far as knowledge is concerned. And I would request that we look broadly at these realities. And if you can, please share with someone, because you all know by the time we come live to share with you, we do not politicize matters. Our interest is not personal offices, but rather capabilities and opportunities that can be able to change our nation. Let us begin this live broadcast this way. Number one, I would like you to understand and comprehend what Kenya is about. One of the approximately quarter of our cost of import, approximately quarter, should I say a little bit more or a little bit less, but approximately quarter of the cost of import, the money that we use to import, is actually swallowed by the petroleum products. Kenya imports mostly all of its petroleum products, and therefore the largest part of our budget, import budget cost, would be swallowed up by this particular petroleum industry. And therefore it is very important for us to look that if quarter of our national budget, or rather our amount of money, quarter of it is being projected towards being swallowed by the petroleum products, we will need to look keenly and closely at what really happens during all these kind of things, all the way from shipping to the coastline. By the time we get to all the tax and all the levies, what is the reason and what is really happening in Kenya? And I would request, please, our brothers and sisters, members of parliament, presidents of East Africa, leaders, governors, MCAs, whichever nation you are in along the East African divide, more or less we tend to be faced by these particular issues on a global scale. So it is wisdom that all of you listen, and especially our leaders in Kenya, because this is where we have a very, very huge problem. There is no need to politicize a matter that only requires knowledge. The other day, I had the president say that it is good sometimes to bring Kenyans up to speed. Excuse me, Mr. President, it is not sometimes. One of the reasons why your government has a lot of wars with Kenyans is because you create gaps. You leave blank spaces where you could have just first of all come up and shared. We understand that some of these prizes do not necessarily give you an opportunity for you to have reasoned out, some of these things just appear. Yes, but it is very important that a State of the Nation, briefing the people that elected us and elected you, to bring them up to speed with what is happening. It is more wiser rather than someone waking up to a fuel price that they do not understand. And therefore, those gaps, when left unmanned, is there not a saying that says that an idle mind is a devil's workshop? When you create gaps in the minds of people, then it becomes a workshop for people to begin to create their own knowledge. For example, people begin to say, the reason why this is like this is because of this, and you cannot blame them. You blame yourself because you leave gaps for people to fill in for themselves rather than you coming up and sharing the needed knowledge on matters affecting the nation. I would like to begin this way, and I read. These are some of my findings. I've taken a lot of time. Before I come to you, I bring a lot of my findings just to be able to bring guideline to the nation. And I would request, especially to our leaders, if you can just follow these little things we do. If you just follow, we know according to you, we are just preachers, we know nothing. That's your perspective of preachers. Well, I think you have met former preachers. Some of us are going to take the preaching to another level. It doesn't matter what you think about us, as long as our hearts are truly towards building, national building, and making sure that Jesus Christ is seen, then that is the best thing that we should bring across to all of you. Now listen to this very cleanly. Kenya Fuel passes through what you call the Strait of Hormuz. Kenyans, listen closely and keenly. This is not now TikTok, this is not Facebook, this is not social media. Now, we are dealing with wisdom. We need to understand exactly what is happening to our nation. Kenya, the fuel that comes to Kenya passes through what you call the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is not the only passage where oil and petroleum products pass, but it is determinant simply because approximately 22% of that, which is approximately between 18 and 24 million barrels per day, pass through that particular place. So you can imagine 20% of that product passing through a specific channel. It will become a point of concern and a point of need to specific people. The width of that particular environment, which is the Strait of Hormuz, if you do not the length but the width, you are looking at approximately 33 kilometers from end to end. It is totally different than any other passage simply because when you want to reroute goods and services, it is not as simple as you think, because in other particular points of view, like for example, if you look at the Red Sea, the goods that are passing through the Red Sea is relatively large. So a lot of transactions will tend to happen easily along the Red Sea rather than the Strait, or rather the Strait of Hormuz. It's very important that you understand this. Among the nations that have a very strong hold in that particular area is United States of America. They have a very strong baseline in that particular area. Reason is because you would understand that this particular strait, approximately 20% of what is being shipped through this environment passes through this particular area. Now, someone would ask, why would Iran be involved in this particular matter? Now, the Strait of Hormuz is very important for you to understand. Before I even go back and talk, go further and talk about the Gulf Stream and the Gulf nations, let us begin to first of all debunk this particular strait for us to be able to understand. Now, this is the Strait of Hormuz. First of all, I've told you the width of that strait is approximately 33, 34 kilometers. So the kind of, to reroute ships that pass through that environment might not be as easy as you think. So it is a very limited space whereby there is need for us to be able to take care. Now, how does Iran fall into this particular demographic point of view? Iran happens to sit on the northern coastal line of that particular Strait of Hormuz. By the way, the word street is not like the street of like Nairobi Street or what. It's the word Strait of Hormuz. It's very important that you understand. It's a very limited environment where movement is relatively, can be affected by these particular places. If you go up, you look at places like Kuwait, you come down that way to Iran, all those particular places will be able to look at. So any war around Iranian area, because it sits at it relatively sits at the north of that coastline, it will affect the flow of what is passing through that particular area. And I would like you to listen keenly and closely. I'm going to take a few minutes and explain how this street looks like and exactly what is happening here. Now, if you follow me with the camera, you look at this particular street of Hormuz this way. I don't know if they'll be able to see a different one, but I would like them to look at what I have here. Now, this street of Hormuz, if you look at it, on the other side, you have the Saudi Arabia, you have places like Qatar, you have the Muscat, you have so many different places that are bordering this particular Strait of Hormuz. Then on top there, you have Kuwait. If you look closely, you'll be able to see Iran and where the connection point really is. The problem here is not this whole place. Follow me closely. The problem here is that particular a curve over there that tends to take approximately 33 kilometers wide. So the movement of ships are not like cars that you just stand the way you want. No, there is a lot of kind of strategy and skill that is needed in order for that particular environment to be relatively as it is. Now, Iran tends to sit at the northern part, the northern coastline of that particular environment. This is why anytime the Western nations create sanctions, always Iran tends to threaten them with war. Reason is because Iran tends to be at the northern coastline. Please, dear Kenyans, listen. We are not crazy people. And I'm requesting especially our leaders, Mr. President, Deputy President, and all those leaders. It is wisdom to give knowledge to people. Anytime you leave gaps, people are not able to comprehend why is fuel costing 40 shillings higher, why is this like that. And I blame you people because you don't give people the needed knowledge. Allow Kenyans to know what is happening. Kenyans are not your children. They are mature people that can understand, they can reason, and they can hear, especially when they are taken the right way. But anytime you come here and you're in funerals, the only thing you're doing is abusing people. Some of you have no shame, even in funerals. You are abusing people in funerals. You think you're talking to your family members. And then when these people come up with their own concepts, you begin to look down on them. Why would you look down on them? You are the ones that have created a gap, a knowledge gap, and so they will create their own knowledge and fill it up. Dear Kenyans, listen very closely. So this Strait of Hormuz there, approximately 33, 34 kilometers wide, is the problem. Why? Because now Iran does not own the Strait of Hormuz. It's like looking at it this way. Mombasa is at the coastline, but Mombasa does not own all the coastline. You have countries like Somalia, all those countries that are bordering the coastline. That's how the Strait of Hormuz looks like. So you can see Kuwait is right there. So many different countries are bordering there. Now, as much as Iran would threaten nations, I would like you to know another thing that you will be told, but of course leaders will not tell you this. All of the oil that is or rather produced in that very country called Iran, please listen to this point very carefully, always is needed to pass through the very same coastline. So Iran, as much as, nations are coming up with sanctions, Iran cannot necessarily shut down that particular lineage or that particular line. Why? Because Iran's only exit point of the same particular oil product that they produce in their nation must pass through the same area called the Strait of Hormuz. So as much as people are trying to tell us, oh, you know what, it's going to be very, Iran cannot threaten 100% because it will be very bad for the economy. Reason is because much of what is manifesting the economy strongly is actually that very oil. So as much as they want to threaten people, I hope that point is very clear. They cannot shut down that particular Gulf line, Strait of Hormuz. The reason is because they also need it. And if that place is totally shut down, their economy will hurt. I hope that point is very clear. So to the politicians, don't come here and start talking about Strait of Hormuz when you really do not even understand how the flow of services work there. Very important that you understand that. So Iran does not own the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's nation touches on the coastal line of that Strait of Hormuz. Very important that you understand that. So if we continue to go deeper, Hormuz connects Persian Gulf to Gulf Oman. Hormuz connects Persian Gulf to Gulf of Oman. There are different kinds of Gulf. And then it passes through that Gulf, Strait Gulf, and then it gets to the Gulf of Oman. After that, you see there, it now enters through the open sea. So no longer the 33 kilometers matter. Now, after that particular Strait of Hormuz, the next strait there is Gulf of Oman. Now, after Gulf of Oman, the seabed becomes bigger. That means it's now easier. No one can no longer threaten things on sanctions and all those kind of things. But because of the Iranian, you can actually see how big Iran is. You see Iran, what size of the coastal line Iran owns. So that's the reason as to why. But at the same time, Iran must allow that ship line to work through because they need that particular coastal line to transfer all their petroleum products or oil products. I hope that is very important for you to put across there. Now, I will need to say this. It is the only exit of oil from Persian Gulf producing nations. And I want you to see that. All Persian Gulf producing nations, I'm going to tell you which nations they are, this is the only exit they have. So no nation is going to allow eternal fights. As much as it's going to hurt nations that, rely on them, it is automatically also hurting those nations. Why? Because there is what we call demand, the law of demand and supply. They will be supplying more than is demanded. And if you supply more than you are demanded, the price of what you have goes lower. It means your value add automatically goes as low as is exactly to that point. So I will need to explain this particular kind of nations that are Persian on the Persian Gulf. Number one, you can write Iraq. Number two, you can write Qatar. Number three, you can write Saudi Arabia. Number four, you can write the UAE. And number five, you can write the Kuwait. Of course, you can write the Arabia, Saudi Arabia also. So they are very important. I think there are five actually I've already mentioned. These particular nations are the ones that form the Persian Gulf. Now, all these nations are known for, production of this particular one. And especially, by the way, Qatar is the biggest importer of the gas, which is very, 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 very important. So Qatar would not want war to extend for long. Why? It's going to be hurt a lot. Qatar also is needing this particular Gulf of Hormuz. But if you look the size of Iran, you come on this other side, you can see there is Bahrain, you can see there is Qatar, you see how small Qatar is, you see there is UAE, you see there is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia touches a little bit there, which, you can see all that. Then you can see Iraq is on top there. You can see where Kuwait is located. You can see where Oman is located. Pakistan is on the other side. They have already left the Strait of Hormuz. Then Afghanistan is on top there, Pakistan and all those kind of nations. So it's very important that you understand that. As we keep on deeper, around 22% of the world oil, I've told you, passes through this particular place, which is approximately 18 to 24 million barrels every day. They need to pass through here. So definitely all the nations, Iran would, tend to, boast a lot. And this is why you see they are refusing conversations with the US. What? Because they know that approximately 24 million barrels is passing through their coastline and they have say. But remember, I told you, they do not also want war because the biggest contributor of their GDP happens to be this very thing. So if there is war there, they end up producing for no one and then their oil becomes irrelevant. So it's very important you understand that. Now, let's continue. As much as it is Iran does not want total shutdown because of that what I've explained. US has big presence in that particular area. And then it continues to say it is not only the passage, it's not the only passage, you need to understand that, but also fuel runs through the portal. In terms of now Kenya, now I've already started by explaining the global nature of what you call the Strait of Hormuz in order for us to be able to understand exactly why Iran is playing a big role in that particular environment. Now, looking at it from that point of view, Kenya, I've told you that approximately quarter of our import resources are swallowed necessarily by petroleum products. So Kenya imports relatively all of that petroleum product, and you can see as to the reason which I'm going to explain so that you can understand the hike and what and where there is corruption and where there is politics or where there is actually genuine hiking of a product. Because unfortunately in Africa, people use other people's nations' problems to hike things and claim that, we have a problem here. We do not have that much of a problem. Follow me, you'll be able to find out. Meanwhile, to those of you that have nothing better than to abuse people, try the next page. fools are not part of this particular environment. Let's look for the next page, because unfortunately for most of us, or rather some of us, we don't allow people to reason. We just shout, we just do what, and the Bible is very clear. Come, let us reason together. And this is my appeal to our Kenyan leaders. It's very important that we reason with Kenyans. Stop talking to Kenyans as if you are talking to your family members. Even your own family members, there is a wisdom to it. Talk to Kenyans as your bosses. You are not our bosses. All the elected leaders, from the president down to the member of parliament and MCA and all those women rep, you are not our lead. You are not our bosses. We, the people of Kenya, Article 1 of the Constitution, all sovereign power, belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to you leaders. So you owe Kenyans every reason to explain what is happening to our nation, even before you do it. It's like a company, the HR manager of a company goes and, just does what he wants without speaking to the owner of the company. Kenya belongs to Kenyans. We are the owners of Kenya, and it is the work of all the leaders to make sure that you bring Kenyans up to speed. Even the one that is a fool, bring him up to speed. Let him argue from his own point of foolishness. But every time you see people rising and they are talking and they are fighting, the reason why they are talking is because you have decided not to build within the wisdom that is needed. It's very easy to come up and explain to Kenyans, this is exactly what is happening. So that when a politician rises there and begins to politicize this matter, Kenyans themselves can tell you, no, you are lying to us. But when you leave gaps, we are trying to find out what is the problem with our nation. You abuse us. We are trying to find out what is the problem with you abuse us. May you receive understanding. So in as much as I told you this is a passage, it's not the only passage, but approximately 24% of that product is needed to pass through this package. Now, Kenya, the reason why Kenya, someone can say, oh, okay, if it's not the only portal that this particular product can pass, why doesn't Kenya look for other portals? I'm coming there. Isn't that a good question? Now, let me explain why it's very vital for Kenya what happens in the Strait of Hormuz. Let me explain the reason. Kenya has what you call a G2G. Can I repeat it again? Kenya has what you call a G2G basis, government to government. And I'm going to share with you the 3 companies that Kenya has assigned G2G with them. These are the government to government through these companies. For example, if you go to the UAE, these are the companies that Kenya has a deal with. So in as much as we have other passages, Kenya does not have a deal with those particular passages. If we are going to use those other passages, we will need to cut off this deal with them, which actually we can't until 2027. And you all know from other things that apparently when according to the law, when you deal before its time and you cut off a contract before its time, you will end up paying what you call what? Damages. So Kenya has a deal with these companies until 2027. Now, in 2027, we can review the deals as per the package. Now, have I repeated again? The Strait of Hormuz is not the only place where this product passes from. But because Kenya has a deal with this particular region, this is the reason why any other strait does not matter to Kenya. Whether there are other streets, they do not matter to Kenya. This is the only one that matters to Kenya. And I want you to hear. We have a G2G fuel supply agreement with 3 Gulf states oil company. Now, it means Kenya imports from the Gulf. And I've told you the Gulf states are which one? Can you remember? UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq. Those are the only places Kenya can be. These are the areas. But within that environment, I want you to hear, these are the 3 companies that Kenya has a G2G with. Number 1, if you're writing, write it down. Saudi Aramco. It's very important that you understand that first company. The second company is Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. The third one is Emirates National Oil Company. Kenya has what you call a G2G with these 3 companies. The contract is meant to last until 2027. Now, what does that mean? It simply means whatever that happens in this street will affect Kenya directly. Let me explain the reason. China has approximately a 4-year, in case there will be a problem here, and this is why you're not seeing China being affected, because China has a reserve that can be able to take the nation approximately 3 to 4 years. The Kenya reserve is approximately what? Is it 60 days? Now you imagine you are dealing with a nation that, assuming there is a problem of this particular product, and by the way, most of that product passes through here. China is really in need, by the way, at the same time. This is why you notice China, the US, I've told you the US has a lot of interest in that particular region, even though the US produces its own oil. And then we're going to talk about production and why Kenya needs to produce. You're going to come to tallow oil, because if you remember, during Uhuru's government, we actually found oil in Kenya, only for us to realize that specific people are now the beneficiary. We will never know what happens. And this is why some people would not want Kenya to have oil. Reason is because these deals that are cut here means billions to many people. And so when the same product is found in Kenya, Kenyans, listen kindly. Put tribalism on the side. The fact that you hate pastors, put it on the side. You can hate us next time. For now, we are trying to deliver our nation. As much as this is the situation, people would not want the manufacture of anything. Reason is because anything that is locally manufactured means it will be less needed in terms of import. And there are very many people that are making money from importation. This is why you see Kenya importing unnecessary things. Kenya importing sanitary towels. There are companies making money, individuals making money. Do you remember the other time in the newsline, you heard that approximately 43 million people's wealth is being controlled by approximately less than 150 people? Do you remember? That's what exactly happens. So anytime there is more production in a country, the products become cheaper. And if the products become cheaper, it becomes cheaper for the locals to afford. And so the country must be able to look for external people or external nations to consume their products. And that's why things in China are cheaper. The same thing you can buy in Kenya for $1 million, you'll probably be buying it in China for 300,000 or 400,000. Why? Because a lot of production of that particular product is being produced in that country. And if Kenya, or rather Africa, wants to come out of this quagmire, Africa must focus on production. If you look at quarter of what our budget is being consumed by petroleum products, can you imagine if quarter of that product, quarter of that money stays behind, and instead of leaving the country, it stays in the country? Like this quarter, the product, we are saying if petroleum is being produced, quarter of our national budget is being taken by the petroleum product, can we be able to keep this money in our country? What you call circulation of money. That instead of buying rice from outside, we can buy rice from our people. And if we're able to buy rice from our people, it simply means that we are able to create more jobs. But if you export, what you are doing is that you are creating more jobs to the person that you are importing from. If you import, it means you are creating more jobs to that person that you are giving money. You are exporting money and importing services. We are supposed to export services and import money. This is why China is the way it is. Because China receives people's money and it releases goods. Are you getting that? And this is where Africa needs to get to. We need to focus on export. We need to be a production-based continent rather than a consumption-based continent. In case you're not aware, by the way, digressing a little bit, I can see my men here are doing a good job. Thank you very much, media. I will need to make this point. Approximately, the GDP of Africa. Let's even give it. Let's even give this GDP of Africa more. The GDP of Africa is approximately It is not even beyond 7%. The GDP of Africa. Very important that you understand that. Now, France alone. The reason why you saw the President Macron come here and speak the way he spoke, because the GDP of France alone is almost equal to the GDP of Africa. So can you imagine all 52 nations in Africa, all 52 nations. Can you imagine the GDP of all 52 nations is approximately 5-6%. Then here comes one nation called France. The GDP of France is approximately the same. What if you now divide? If all of Africa is bringing this particular percentage, even talk about 8%, whatever you want to give it, Divide that 8% times, divide by 52 nations. Can anyone do it? Can you divide 8, divide by 52? And by the way, you need to know it cannot be that way, because definitely South Africa has a higher GDP than others. Kenya, in the East African side, Kenya has a higher GDP than others. So let's just assume that you have that amount of 52 nations. They are giving 8% contributing 8% to the whole world. This is why you can see people like Bill Gates speak the way they speak. Because according to them, without Africa, in terms of the GDP, not minerals, the world can continue. And they know it. The reason is because our leaders sell our products without them being fully prepared. We don't take our products to the end. We don't do what you call value addition. Someone is like, for example, Botswana is exporting diamond. We will export the raw material. We will not make the rings that are actually expensive. We will not make the watches that are actually expensive. Kenya will export specific products that we need to put value add here. In case you're not aware, our tea is the best in this particular area. In case, by the way, you're not aware, this same Gulf line, Kenya exports tea to them. They need us. I don't know if you remember, there was a deal. Iran had a problem with Kenya that they paid a certain amount of money. Was it for tea or coffee? And then there was no delivery. They need our tea. But the tea that we give them, we don't add value add. So you come and look at the same tea abroad is 7,000, 8,000. You wonder what? Then the farmer in Kenya is hurting because he cannot even afford what? He cannot afford, fertilizer. So if we put value add to our products and export products that have gone through the value add, you create more job opportunities because then the chain becomes bigger. But you see, to some of you, even those of you that are online, someone is saying, you see, your reasoning is very different. We are not here to reason to make sense to everyone. You can't make sense to a fool. A fool will always see wisdom as foolishness. That's the saddest part of it. So it's very important that you understand this. So the GDP of Africa is approximately the same GDP of France. Why wouldn't the President Macron come here and order people? Why? I was wondering why didn't the president of Burkina Faso, not that Africa Forward is the only president that matters. Of course, you can tell there are people that come from, the Sahel region. I understand that. But how comes President Traore did not come to Kenya? You need to ask yourself that question. Of course, you know that they have tensions with the same people, so he ended up turning to Moscow side with President Putin to see if he can get better deals. And you can see during the fights, Putin has really supported him a lot. We need to ask ourselves questions. This president that is coming, already there are a lot of slavery issues. I'm not saying necessarily him, but these particular people are known for this. What are the openness? Can you be open with what you people are doing? So that Kenyans don't need to think about things that are not true. Be open. This is what we discussed about. I had the president saying, we have secured $1 billion, the next we'll secure $2 billion. Where is this money and what exactly is it going to do? Before you realize $1 billion of it is lost. Auditor General comes out and he says, we can no longer see this money. This is the joke around our nation. And the minute you become transparent and open, you have nothing to hide. And this is the change we are pushing for in our nation. For people to be able to see Kenyans as people that can reason. We cannot always be talking in funerals. There is a better platform for you to talk to Kenyans. But look at the leaders of Kenya. They go to funerals, abuse each other. They go to social media, abuse each other. They climb up on top of cars, abuse each other. What are you changing in our nation? There is a better way to approach matters in our nation if you really want to change the people's points of view. Kenya imports through this very Gulf. I've told you it's not the only Gulf, but Kenya has a G2G with these 3 companies that I've told you. Number 1, Saudi Aramco. Number 2, Emirates National Oil Company. Number 3, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. This is the G2G that Kenya has. If you keep going, petroleum imports bill is among the largest, and I've told you this very importantly. Let's keep going to the next page. So if whatever that happens in the Strait of Hormuz will automatically affect the food you're eating in your house. Do you understand why? Because it is from that Kenya has made a deal. And I'm going to come different. So you will ask yourself, I had the president say, when he was out of power, I don't know if you can show the video, he said, and this is why I'm really seated wondering, is the office of I think we don't need to have a deputy president's office. Because when he said this statement, He said it when he was outside. I mean, when he was the deputy president, if I'm not wrong, although he was being bothered. But before President Uhuru Kenyatta started having issues with him, he was already the deputy president. Then he says that he doesn't understand why fuel prices in Uganda are cheaper than fuel prices in Kenya, yet the fuel that Uganda uses, because it is landlocked, passes through Kenya. Then you wonder, but you are a deputy president. So are you telling me that office is that irrelevant? Then we don't need the office. Why are we paying the deputy president? We don't need the office. If such an information a whole deputy president does not know. So now you are the president. So automatically now it's hard for you to comprehend why fuel prices in Kenya are relatively higher than in Uganda. In fact, in the whole eastern region, Kenya has the biggest. By the way, I hope you know, Tanzania has relatively smaller, Uganda has smaller, you can't compare. But Ethiopia has a larger network of tarmac road, which is approximately 26,000. Yet if you say the road levy is one of the reasons why Kenya fuel has to go up, it cannot be accurate. Reason is because the Ethiopian, connecting tarmac road is approximately 26,000. So how is it that the fuel price in Ethiopia is cheaper? But these are the things we are doing. Instead of talking things like this, I want you to see what our leaders are doing. This is what our leaders are discussing about. I want you to think about what I'm sharing and what our leaders are sharing. Then you wonder, where is Kenya going? And then those of us that are able to bring wisdom, some of you are just online here abusing us. Now, can you listen to what our leaders are saying? Listen to our leaders.
William Ruto, musipojipanga vizuri, tupangane hivi na kelele tu peke yake. Hii ndio grupu ilikuwa inapiga kelele na William Ruto akatoboa. Hata 2027 tena tu atatoboa. Asante sana na Mungu awabariki.
Asante. Ulikuwa na salamu za Duale na Rais.
Sasa wewe Senator, niko na salamu zako. Unajua uzuri ya wanasiasa, hata baada ya hii maneno yote bado tunapendana. Mimi niko na salamu yako ya rafiki yako Mheshimiwa Aden Duale, nitakupatia salamu yako specifically. Alinipatia contribution, nitakupatia.
Among the many others which I hope they'll find. Now, let me ask you a question. Those people that came there, some of them are going to travel back. With which fuel? Do you understand what it means when fuel goes up? Do you leaders understand what is happening to the nation? Manufacturing of products goes up. On Monday, Matatu industry has threatened. By the way, here, I stay just somewhere around here. Some of my workers, when they were coming, I'm doing a little construction somewhere. As our workers are coming, we have employed several people, which we are employing people. So we should talk the way we are talking. We are not little people the way some of you think that have never met us. We are contributing to the nation building of this nation. So to some of you that have nothing to show, that's why you can just abuse people, because it doesn't affect you necessarily directly. And by the way, what you need to know, it affects you actually directly. Reason is because every person that is a Kenyan and is buying anything, talk of sugar, talk of milk, you will feel the pinch. But because our leaders are not even understanding what is happening, as some of my workers today were telling me, a place where they pay 40 shillings to get to work, today they were paying 70. So to some of you that are already millionaires, it means nothing to you. You're just jokers, because you're going to enter your choppers, you're going to go with your girlfriends, take them to Dubai with stolen money. You're going to go and buy your wife wigs, dead hair. You're going to take your children to private hospitals that don't need SHA. But the people you are talking to and you are addressing, they are feeling the pinch. And unfortunately for Kenyans, we joke about everything. It's not because our leaders necessarily, we are the people that are bad, because we fuel their naughtiness. We fuel it. There is nothing to joke about there. Some of those leaders should be dealt with ruthlessly. You look for funerals. Some of you are just there to share your political ambitions. After you become a president or a deputy, we will never see you on the streets again. I went to Nairobi the other day, and shame on our leaders, especially the governor of Nairobi. I want you to look at what is happening. I went to Nairobi the other day. Among the many governors have traveled their counties. City Market. I was so shocked on Monday, I think. Was it on Monday I had an interview at K24? Just go outside City Market. You will not believe you're in the market. Outside. And I'm not talking about little. I'm talking about like piles of garbage. And you are just a wall away to Chicken, Fish, City Market. The place that should be the most cleanest. Why won't Kenyans fall sick? You go there, people that build the roads in the town, even to plant flowers. They own roundabout where the president uses to get to his place. But you see, you can't know some of you because it's choppers. Even to plant flowers on a roundabout, you can't do it. Yet there are funds that are released. When a contract is given, that contract is given to the end. The people that are supposed to maintain roads, just look at what is happening. You go to Nairobi City, you even wonder. I was even wondering why we decided to take presidents to KICC. Did they pass through those corners? It's very shaming and it's very alarming, the things you are doing to this nation. And some of us, when you are trying to reason, some of you have very little minds. You cannot tell what you are trying to do. You are just coming here and saying, 1 term, 2 term, who cares about which term? Take your terms away there. There are corrupt people on that 1. There are corrupt people on that 2. Kenya's problem is not 1 or 2. Kenya's problem is good governance. If we can get good leaders, once we remove a bad one, you replace him with a more devil. This time, not anymore. Young people, rise up and be knowledgeable, because even you two young people, some of you have no knowledge. I saw you invited in Citizen TV. You're just showing how divided you are. Some of you, you don't even know the role of the legislature, you don't know the role of the judiciary, and you don't. That TV station you're going to, they will put 3 of you on one side, 3 of you on the other side, because they want to show Kenyans, young people are divided. 2024, that was not the case. We were not invited on TV and given 3 seats on different sides. But some of you are going to support individuals you don't even know. You forgot what you're supporting. Do you remember Rex? Do you remember those young people, the little girl that was shot doing homework in her room? We are not here to support individuals. And I can tell you, that's how fire begins. It just begins, we go, it dies. Even those particular individuals, some of them are bad. Some of them are members of parliament. They have never said anything in State House. I mean, in parliament. They have never brought a bill to the table. They have never passed anything on the table. You're just seeing them on, they can't talk. You don't even need to know how to speak English, but at least learn how to make a sentence. Who is a member of parliament? A representative of his people, not a representative of the party. So people are now more loyal to the party than they are loyal to the people that call them to do. So you see someone doing what the party wants over what the people of the constituency are looking for. And it is a shame to Kenya. May the Lord help this nation. May the Lord really help this nation. It really pains me. This is what the leader of the nation should do. Reason with Kenyans. Don't just come and say, Wakenya wanapiga kelele. What do you want us to do? We are supposed to make noise because we feel the pain. I have staff that came to work today and they're like, Bishop, where are we going? What am I supposed to tell them? Then when they look at the president, the deputy, you are just busy fighting there with the head opposition leaders. You just look childish. Yet you can come up and say, this is the situation. The reason why Kenya is affected by the Strait of Hormuz is because Kenya has a contract, a government-to-government contract with these particular 3 companies. These particular 3 companies are within that Strait of Hormuz. Kenyans will understand that. But because you like politics, you like fighting, you like abusing each other, even the Minister of Finance, is it Mr. John Mbadi? You just talk to people the way you want. Ati me, where are you taking me? I've been here for 5-10 years. I've been there. Who cares what you have been? Then go home if that's what you think. Stop playing with people's minds. The Bible says, come, let us reason. Call people to reason. Dear Kenyans, this is the problem we have in Kenya. We request you, in the next 2 weeks, allow us to put these resources to this level. And if we do this, this is what we'll be able to save in our nations. Are Kenyans stupid? But the reason you approach, the reason why you see Kenyans hiking up is because of how you approach us. You don't know how to talk to people. Shouting to us as if you are your children. Are we your children? Do we eat in your houses, members of parliament? Mr. President, how many of us eat in your houses? Mr. Deputy President, and then you are just there to say, I saw the Deputy President. Said, we are going to meet there in Olkalau. We will know who is the man. Who told you you are a man because of fighting? Who told you you are a man because of winning a position? You are a man because of providing. The Bible says a man that does not provide, not fight, for his own is worse than an infidel. So a president that does not provide, a governor that doesn't provide, a member of parliament that doesn't provide, you are worse than an infidel. And then you young people, you enter there and begin to talk foolishly. Some of you don't say you are representing us. You are ashamed to young people. Coming there and shouting, talking. I listen to some of you, you are talking nothing. And then the problem with media, the people that talk, you cut us off. Because we are not your favorites. You know, we are just preachers, right? Go back to the pulpit, preach. Even Christians, that's what they talk now. Like ignorant people. Now, in case you don't know tomorrow, today is on Saturday. Pastor, tomorrow, your church will not be full. People don't have fare. But the pastor will never talk about anything. Your job is just tithe and offering. People don't have transport, pastor, so it affects you what happens in this nation. People do not have transport. Matatus have hiked. It will now be expensive to worship God in church. You know what will happen? People worship God at home. So it affects the church, what we are saying. But the problem I don't like with the church, we come late when we are not needed. Then you see the fathers, may God just help us. Fathers who come there and put some nice suit and then they call the media. There's nothing you're saying. Oh, we appeal to the leaders to talk well. Don't they know that? But that person you're saying to talk well, tomorrow you'll be in your church giving you 2 million. And you will not reject it. Because you're just another bad person just like them. You will not reject it, but you're the one saying, oh, an issue. How, you know, I saw the funeral. How do you thank God I'm not the one doing those funerals. How do you talk like that in our presence? You reduce the church to nothing. And to you, the church, you are the reason. Because you just accept nonsense around you. People just talk the way they want. And the whole bishop is in front there. Because you fear, you want to be loved. We are not here to be loved. Don't love us. In fact, me as John C.W., I pray, I want you to hate me with passion. Hate me. The Bible says if the world hates you, not loves you, we will do what we are doing and we are asking permission from no man. And all those of you that are calling us to join your political parties, we are not joining. Stop calling us. We are not joining. I John C.W., am not for sale. I would rather whatever we are doing stays than to join darkness. What will be the difference? So that I join. Some of you are even coming here telling me that, you know, you give me a position, you give me CG what, you give me CS. We don't want. We are not here to get positions. We are here to free nations. We don't want your positions. And it is very sad what is happening in Kenya. Kenya imports through these three companies I've told you. Number one, you have understood it. Now, the body, once the oil gets to this place called the port of Mombasa, there is a body that is mandated with that job. That body is called EPRA. That body is called EPRA. And I want you to reason. The work of that body is to review the importation prices. By the time you get to the pump prices, it is the work of EPRA to make sure that the pump prices reflect a certain reality. So by the time you see this, EPRA is involved. So the head of EPRA must be accountable. And in order for that head of EPRA, he answers directly to the specific leaders of this nation. Among them is the president. So nothing just happens. You need to understand that. Now, the reason why US, you hear it's rarely affected by these particular things. US does not have a G2G with these particular companies. So in as much as the Strait of Hormuz will affect it, it might not necessarily even be felt on the pump prices necessarily. Reason is, I'm not saying it will not be felt. I'm saying it will not be to the much degree of today. Now, reason is because US also produces its own oil. And this is why I'm requesting Kenya, produce your things. Produce. When you manufacture, you don't become a slave. The reason why you are enslaved and other nations can enslave you is because we don't produce. Now, can I ask you, what happened to tallow oil? Are you aware that there is a lot of exportation? What happens to tallow oil? Who can tell me? Where is the oil in tallow? We were told that there is oil in tallow. Someone should be coming here and saying, this month, this is where we are. Come back after another 3 weeks. Inform the Kenyans. The reason why oil prices are cheaper in Nigeria, you know why? Because Dangote, who is the second among he produces approximately 650,000 barrels of oil. And then I saw you call him here, the president of East Africa and the president of Kenya. We just look confused before such a man. The richest man in Africa. A whole president of Tanzania comes out and he says, and by the way, you president of Tanzania, in as much as our Kenyan president sometimes makes us angry, the way you called him is not very good. Did you notice our Kenyan president called you Mama Samia? You said, who you Ruto? That's very indisciplined of you people. And then you argue in front of investors. Which investor would want to come again? And to you, Mr. President, who told you to say that in front of people? You should have first spoken to the president of Tanzania. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of Africa we are building. Something that is so black and white. Even if you right now go to the comment section, you just find another ignorant fool abusing us. What is there to abuse us over? Let's even assume I've not gotten it 100%. At least I've gotten 80%. How are you helping Kenya? How are you helping us? By abusing people online. Because you don't like being told the truth. Anytime someone says something that is true, it's pride. You have sat in darkness and you reject the truth. This is unfortunate. That you begin to fight in front of leaders. A whole Tanzania president can say, we did not, I don't know why Ruto ati alimubana. Wewe Kenya kubana inamaanisha kitu different. Wacha hiyo. Sijui alimubana huko, sijui akafanya nini. You just talk like people that wonder, what kind of leaders are you? When you are seated, if you leaders cannot agree, we, the people that are Kenyans and Tanzanians, can we agree? Do you know what it means for you to have that particular plant in Shanzu or wherever that you are saying? East Africa, anywhere around East Africa. You know what that means to the oil prices of East Africa? But because some of you don't want peace, you have your own secret companies, egg companies, oil companies, food companies. And you know why you are doing what you are doing to Kenya? Kenya, don't cheat people that it's hard to be a president. Why did you sign up? Resign. Resign. Why did you sign up for the job? For you to come and tell us it's hard to be a president, it's hard for you to be... Who told you it's easy? The reason why we gave you that job is because the job is hard and we are looking for someone to do it. But you can never fight what you're part of. I want you to listen to this very importantly. The same Gulf that we are getting oil from, or petroleum products from, we give them our tea. Ethiopia has more tarmac road, which I've already told you, yet its fuel prices are lower. Someone was saying, I heard the president saying, someone is asking, how comes the price of fuel in Kenya is cheaper than Uganda? And then he says, because Kenya is among the middle income countries. We understand. We know all that. We are not fools. But I want to give you now a solution. If you listen to me very well, you will notice I don't complain. I give solutions. I share the problem and I follow it with a solution. This is the solution. It's very simple. Now listen to me. If you are going to reduce the price of fuel, there are several things you must do. 2 things. And I want you to listen very carefully. Number 1, write tax. Here is a pen. Number 2, write subsidies. Some of you keep hearing the word subsidy, 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 subsidy. What is a subsidy? And how does tax and subsidy influence? Now, I want you to listen to this. By the time fuel lands in Kenya, these are among the taxes and how the reason as to why fuel is expensive. Now listen to this. Number 1, there is what you call value-added tax, which is approximately 8%. Tick that. The second thing is what you call petroleum regulatory levy. I want you to listen. This is on the same thing. And then you wonder why the price has gone high. The third thing is railway development levy. The fourth thing is merchant shipping levy. By the time it's coming here, there is a levy to it, a tax to it. The fifth thing, there is import declaration fee. The sixth thing, there is what you call road maintenance levy. Then you have value added tax, which I've already told you. Then you have petroleum regulatory levy. All these things, petroleum development levy. Now, by the time you look at all this and you have already gotten some certain funds, what do you expect? So listen to me very well, leaders. I know I heard John Buddy say he's very educated. He has been in ODM for this long. We have no problem. They told the same to Jesus. He was just 30 years. They said, how can you say that and you are not even up to 50? So sometimes older people think that age is wisdom. Age is not always wisdom. Age gives you an opportunity to experience more, to be wise. But the way some of you are behaving, you have nothing to offer young people. When young people look at some of you, you wonder, what are you people talking about? We don't reason. We just like war and fight because why? Young people, it's called divide and rule. If you have smaller groups, you can rule them better. So they make you divide. Talk about, oh, sisi Wakamba, sisi Wakikuyu, sisi Waluya, sisi Waturukana, sisi Wakipsigis. When you begin to hear a leader say that, that leader is tribal. He wants to divide people to show those people from that tribe are bad. This is not a tribal war. And by the way, in case you don't know, all tribes are paying the same amount of money at the pump station. Can you just think about that? All tribes. Okay? Kikuyus, Kambas, Luos, Meru, whoever, Borana, all those people you can think about. Kipsigis, Tugen, all those people. We are all paying the same pump prices. So if you are tribal, you are just another ignorant person. Let us follow the things that can be able to change our nation. And to you, the leaders, explain the problems to the people. They are your bosses. Come out, even if it means every month. This is the problem of Kenya. This is what we can do. Can you allow us? Who has a better idea? You will notice those same people you look down on. One person. Now, I'd like to say this to our government and our leaders and Kenyan leaders at large. Remember this statement. The person that took the whole of Egypt and the whole world out of problems, I hope media team can find that scripture, was a person called Joseph. Joseph is the one that interpreted. In fact, if you look at that scripture in Genesis, the Bible says the whole world came to buy from him. Who was the person that took the world out of the problem? It was a little boy in his 30s. A little boy. A person in the cell. So it simply means, Mr. President, you can literally go to the cell of Kenya and just say, who has a solution to the problems of Kenya? Someone that you least expect can come out and say, Mr. President, I have this idea. We brought a voting system, a blockchain voting system. What did you people do? You politicize it. And then because Kenyans we are other ignorant people, we will never sit down and say, wait, why is this thing like that? Can you imagine someone comes and he says, we need 61.7 billion. Here we are telling you, we need 3, 4, 5, 10, even if it's 20 billion. What would you have saved? 2022, per voter, it costed the government 2,017 shillings. We are telling you our system will cost you 36 bob. And then you politicize the matter. Some of you Kenyans, sometimes you're the reason why Kenya is the way it is. And then you will not miss someone on this platform abusing us. You contribute nothing. Your mother doesn't know you. Your father doesn't. You have never bought a shoe for your own father. And then you are the one talking here. Some of us have employed over 50, 100 people. And you are the one talking here because you feel nothing. You have nothing to lose. You have no car, so you don't know what it means to talk about fuel levy. You have no, even paraffin. At least you should even have a stove. So at least you can know what it means when paraffin goes higher. But because we don't have much, to him who much is given, much is expected. So when you have much, you expect much. Now look here. The famine was all over the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians. Anytime there is oil famine, anytime there is deficiency of any product, it is the people that have it in abundance that end up making more money. Is it so hard to comprehend that? So if Kenya wants to make money, right now, Iran will be making more money. Those people, those companies, the 3 companies that I've told you on the Gulf that Kenya has a G2G, they are making more money from yesterday. Why? In as much as them too, they are taking more money, they know that Kenya is in need. And there is nothing as bad as being a slave because the one that bought you knows you need them. It's like a woman. Have you ever seen a woman in a marriage always being beaten? But in her mind, even though it's not true, she has been made to believe you cannot leave this place. Why? You have nothing. You have nowhere to go. So she will keep staying there and being battered. But the minute that woman comes to her senses, like the prodigal son, the questions will come up. What am I doing here? We give you biblical reference of how to make a nation. But you know what you do? Stick to the church. Even Christians, Look at this comment section. You will not miss Christians. Just ignorant Christians. The worst people that can talk about a nation are believers. They know nothing about the nation. We know nothing. Monday, prayer network. Tuesday, network of prayer. Wednesday, fasting. Thursday, door to door. Friday, memorial hub. Saturday, breakthrough self-service. Sunday, there is nothing about the economy. And then the pastor wants people to tithe. Where are they getting the money? And then when we talk like this, leaders come up, pastors come up. Oh, John C.W. Oh, John. Now no one wants to be my friend. What was my mistake? The pastor friends that, I don't even know if I ever had them. No one wants to. Because why? John C.W. is this dirty person. He's being seen with dirty people. As if Jesus ate with clean people. Was it not the same Jesus eating with dirty people that people said, how comes you are eating with sinners? That's what we are called to do. We are called to go where there is sin and offer justice. But even now you are convincing a Christian, oh, you can't be a man of God and you can't be into politics. You just see the childishness. An heir, as long as he's a child, he differs not from a servant. There are things God will never give you because you are a child in your mind. Your reasoning is of a child. You can't comprehend that what happens to a nation will happen to the church. Now look at the strategy of Joseph. How do you build a nation? The people that have storage, and I've told you, China has approximately 4 years of oil reserves. And no war is existing for 4 years. Even World War I and World War II. Did it go for 4 years? But Kenya has how many days? Is it 21 days or 30 days or something? 16 to 30 days approximately. That is our reserves. This is why you notice when something little happens, Kenya automatically goes higher. Look at it. Kenya's working petroleum reserves typically last for about 16 to 21 days under normal conditions because the country relies entirely on imports of its refined petroleum products. So this is why something little that happens in Hamus, Kenya jumps there. Reason is because we have no reserves. Do you people understand what it means by oil fuel levy? If the government invests more on the fuel levy, you can be able, and this is why Tanzania is able to balance it. Uganda is able to balance it. I want you to follow up. After all those taxes I've told you, road tax, freight and pipeline charges, storage charges, oil, there's so much. Why wouldn't the price of petroleum go up? So how do you reduce the price of petrol? Now, young people, and those of you that never read apart from just going on TikTok and abusing people, listen very carefully. We are not crazy people. We know what we are saying. Listen very carefully to how you deal with it. Very carefully. Number one, I've told you there are two things to do if you're going to deal with the price of petroleum. It has nothing even to do with the Strait of Hormuz. Now we are talking about local. We are now in Kenya, locally speaking. The first thing you need to do is to reevaluate your tax rates. The second thing you need to do, how do you reevaluate your tax rates? You come up with what you call subsidies. Let me explain how China works and such kind of nations that we look up to for any degree or any level. Someone is saying, why not Africa? We will deal with that later. Let's talk about the easiest one for people to comprehend. Even though we have superpower nations here. And Nigeria is fighting. And the nations around Nigeria cannot come up and see and help Nigeria. We need Trump. What a shame. What a shame. And these leaders know it. This is why when their president comes here, they cause jam in the city. You should have taken that meeting far in State House, not where there is businesses working. Then you put them in very nice luxury cars. When you go there, you are put in buses. Huh? Look at our president's meeting. Go look at Africans when they go to Europe. Me sometimes I laugh. You just see them on buses there. You're irrelevant. They know that if the whole of Africa's GDP is approximately 4 to 8%, China and America alone is over 51%. They don't need you. That's why someone can just come here and talk about, oh, you know, with GMO, we can reduce the population of Africa, because you're irrelevant as far as the economy of the world is concerned. And the only thing that can bring us to the table is minerals. What will our leaders do? Tanzanite is the Tanzanite here, which comes from the word Tanzania night. That word, the Tanzanite, if you look at the value globally and then you look at the production cost in Tanzania, you'll be shocked. There are over 900 minerals in Kenya. We will never have that discussion. The last person that tried to have that discussion, what was the name of the gentleman that was killed several years ago that was doing mining? He got a mining contract. What was his name? Can anyone remind me his name? He ended up dead. Because anytime you touch anything on mining, oh my God, people flock in. We heard that there is gold here, but you will never hear. People will just be displaced. Then people will come up, put ions, secluded in place. Before you know, a company from China, a company from Russia, a company from US. Before you know, the people there are left barren. Because its leadership in Kenya is a game. And then when you talk like this, people online that can't comprehend, they're just there saying, 1, 2, don't touch our person. Which person? You are sleeping hungry. Your person there is with another girlfriend. He has 4 women he is able to take care of. You have nothing. You can't even take care of yourself. And you are the one out there killing for someone that has already decided to kill you by making sure that services do not reach you. May the Lord help us. How do you deal with this issue? Number 1, reduce the tax. Come up with subsidies. What is a subsidy? Let me give it a layman's language. The government of China comes up and it says, we would like to invest in electric cars. In order to encourage the investor, because the investor has probably not been in that field for long, the government says, in order to encourage the investor, any person that is going to come up with this particular amount of money and invest in this particular thing that we want to push in our nation, we want to come up with electric cars, we want to have the biggest electric cars globally, to be the biggest producers, so the government will look for business people. Now, the government, in order to encourage them, what the government does, it creates what you call a subsidy. What does it mean? It comes up and it says, anyone that will invest in this particular thing, the government will put 25% of what you need down. So let me explain what is a subsidy very easily. Let's say, for example, you need 100 million to do that thing. The government comes up and it says, we will give 25 million. Already, the investor has been encouraged. He knows that even if he goes and borrows, he already has 25% that he can show the bank. So the government comes and he says, instead of carrying the whole burden, we will carry 25% of your burden. So the investor knows that if I bring 75%, so the government becomes a co-share. So that 25%, the government creates a subsidy for it. It's like what you call a shock absorber, a shock, where to land on, a soft spot to land on. That's what you call a subsidy. It's a government hand into a matter. That you say, for example, fuel prices have gotten to this amount of money. The government will give approximately 5 to 10 billion, put the money down to balance the subsidies of that thing, so that the prices will not hike up. But you see, you come up and say, we don't have money. Why don't you have money? Corruption. You're corrupt people. You just keep hearing 3 billion is lost here, 5 billion is lost here, and then a leader comes up and says, wait, just stop, man. Just stop, you people. Stop. It's enough. Stop. That's what you call a subsidy. And these are the things that Tanzania has done. You come up with that subsidy, then you balance the economy of that particular thing, so that the government invests money into that thing to create stability, so that the shock is not on the people. It is so simple and common sense. But now on Monday, matatus will strike. And then I saw some people say, hey, is it the president that has hiked the money? Do you even know what you're saying? You come up, you build it on the tax. Stop overtaxing all these things. If you put tax on everything, road maintenance, petroleum development, petroleum regulatory, railway development, import declaration fee, merchant shipping levy, road levy, value added tax, When will the money ever go low? But the government of Kenya believes in overtaxing people rather than eat little and eat from many, than eat much and eat from a few. That is how you build a nation. Reduce the tax and come up with more subsidies in order to be able to balance the problem. Lastly, these particular things, as I've told you with the life of Joseph. How did Joseph do it? Can you look at Joseph? What did Joseph do? Joseph told Pharaoh, do what? First 7 years means what? Plenty. Anytime there is plenty in the first 7 years, what are you supposed to do? You save. But in Africa, when there is plenty, we spend. Young people are going out drinking, and you just see them going out to drink as if it's a very good thing. So he gathered up all the food. Look there what happens. China knows this. China actually reads the Bible, in as much as China is now changing the Bible. These people follow the guidelines of the Bible. Look, so he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt. Can you imagine gathering for 7 years? Don't you look like a fool? But God is not unjust. Anytime you see drought, there must have been a harvest prior. Believe me. Mismanagement is what makes people not to grow. It has nothing to do with God. Stop blaming God. What do you want God to do? He's given you land that if you plant, he's given you minerals on the land, he's given you water, he's given you... What do you want God to do? God, where were you? God was where he was before you knew him. And he will continue to be where he is after you have known him. This is the problem. 7 years is for gathering. And laid up the food in the cities. Look where he laid up the food. In the cities. You go to Kakamega. You look, what is happening here? Lay up a storage. You go to Mombasa. What is known here? Lay up a storage. You go to the mountain. You go to Western. You go to Wajir. I was looking at one of the companies, one of the projects China is doing. They are now putting, they are building what you call clean energy, among the many things I don't want to discuss about. And one of its projects, I saw them putting its clean energy on the ocean. They are using it on the ocean. The systems are able to move, to adjust according to the direction of the sun. Can you imagine? And one project is producing, that project I saw, solar system project, is producing 1 megawatt. Do you know what is 1 megawatt? The whole of Kenya is not even up to 4 megawatts. It's 3 point something megawatts. One project of China is producing 1 megawatt worth of power. So there are companies that can never even come to Kenya. We don't have this infrastructure to contain that company. It's not that they don't want to come and invest, but they look at your power grid. So even with 3 megawatt, people are talking about rationing. China is talking about over hundreds of thousands of megawatts. China has over 21,000 dams. And then someone is saying, oh, and then you see even someone there saying, oh, you know, give them time. Even China, anything plus time plus corruption is corruption. No matter how much time you give to corruption, the answer will always be corruption. After 50 years, if Kenya continues like this, we'll still be corrupt. This has nothing to do with leaders. Who hates leaders? We hate what leaders make Kenyans to go through. Ethiopia absorbs through government subsidies. So when such things happen to Ethiopia, even if Ethiopia has approximately 26,000 kilometers of road, Kenya has approximately 20,000 kilometers of road, the prices in Ethiopia are cheaper because of subsidies. But here, every problem is taken to Kenyans. Every problem. Inatupiwango tu wa Kenya. It's thrown to the Kenyans. Kenyans deal with the pump prices. And then the solution to this, leaders will come and fight on top of cars. And then you and me will go to those meetings. Me, I don't have time. A leader is coming in this nation. You return everything you stole. Those of you in EPRA that are thieves, eventually you are coming. You wait. You wait. Those of you in parliament that are thieves, we will revisit. Those of you in government that are thieves, we will revisit. No money is kept in the rooms only. So you have bank accounts, we will freeze those accounts. Kenya must be free. I might be a child to you, no problem. I might be a dog to you, no problem. Whatever you want to call me means nothing to me, it means nothing. The Lord is my light and my salvation. I have seen Jesus do marvelous things, and I see him doing it again. A leader is coming in this nation. You will return everything you stole. Enjoy now. Laugh now. But I tell you before God Almighty, you will cry later. Let it be in your heart's desire to change the lives of people genuinely. Presidents, deputy president, governors, members of parliament don't have personal deals. These deals are killing people. These deals are killing people. Be honest. If the auditor general says this amount of money is stolen, if it is not true, arrest her. Arrest her. Because she is putting the nation in a quagmire. But if it's true, follow the trail. A leader is coming in this nation. Shortly from now, we speak in many parables. Kenya, you will be free shortly. Your light has come. May the Lord bless Kenya. May the Lord bless Kenyans. May the Lord bless us with good leaders. To the body of Christ, arise and shine, for your light has come. You are the light of the world. You are not the light of the church. You cannot take a candle and put it under a seat. You love when people love you. You are enemies of God. You remind me of Pharisees. You love the applause of people. You love when they come to your church with big money and big numbers. You love when they give you cars and houses. I would rather you love what God loves. And what God hates, one of them, injustice. The Bible says, be a voice to the voiceless. And that's why I do what I do. It doesn't matter how many friends I lose. It doesn't matter how much money I lose. I will do this job even if I end up alone. You don't need to call me for your church services. You don't need to call me for your conference. Me, I'm good. Let me be here in the little village. One day, you come and tell that truly CW fought for the body of Christ. There must be a level of excellence that comes from the church. There must be a level of excellence that comes from the church. I speak a lot in parables. Shortly from now, it will be a reality. Dear Kenyans, in a few months from now, you have an opportunity to do the right thing. What can I say? You know what to do. See you when you do it. Every blessing.